you know, good afternoon and good evening and welcome to the script. I'm your host, Isaac Paul. And, for those of you all that have never been here, I want to first and foremost say welcome. Once again, am Isaac Paul, and this is the script. The script is the digital extension of the Tequila Tales. Now, what is the Tequila Tales? The Tequila Tales is a highly engaging and fully interactive discussion on love and relationships. What it is not is a panel discussion. I always make that known because, with panels, the goal is to hear the expert speaking. But with the Tequila Tales, our motto is with love, we all have a story to tell. And so our goal has always been to get the authentic and legitimate stories out of the audience. We've been operating now for about 11 years, and it's just been a wonderful experience. What this is, like I said, the script is the digital counterpart of the Tequila Tales. And so we've entered into this collaboration with blackdoctor.org. Got to give a major shout out to blackdoctor.org. For those of you all that are not familiar with them, I would definitely recommend to get plugged in. Blackdoctor.org is an organization that highlights Black physicians, Black healthcare, everything that's related to health and wellness. And so, a lot of times those of us that may be experiencing something, some kind of health issue, and just general well-being, a lot of times it's hard finding physicians and healthcare professionals that look like us, just to be very frank. A lot of times you are forced to just deal with whoever is in your region. And it's not that there's anything wrong with other physicians, but a lot of times we notice that when individuals look like you, they can understand your language a little bit more. They can be a little bit more tapped into some of the subtle cultural nuances that may be overlooked, right? And so there are times where people feel more comfortable seeing a physician that looks like them. But how do you find that? Right? You typically don't just go into Google and type in Black Doctor and there's the list. So blackdoctor.org was created several years ago. And the goal has been about not only highlighting a lot of healthcare professionals, people of color inside of this space, but then it is also about connecting you directly with physicians that, once again, looks like you. So if you are not connected with blackdoctor.org, I recommend you do so. Let's get a little bit of housekeeping out the way, right? So I'm not certain where you may be watching this stream from, because we're broadcasting on multiple channels, right? So we're on blackdoctor.org's YouTube and Facebook. We're also on the Tequila Tales. So regardless of where you're watching this, I want you to know that if you were to make a comment, I have the ability to see it and I can share it, right? So this conversation can be interactive, and I want it to be as interactive as possible. I also want to give you all a heads up because right now, specifically in Chicago, is the Democratic National Convention. And for those of you all that do not know me, I am unapologetically an Obama stan, right? And so both of the Obamas are speaking tonight. And so we're kind of on an Obama watch, right? So if Obama starts speaking, just know that this stream may get cut a little short, right? I guess that's the benefit, right, of doing it live. And we'll definitely pick up. There's so much that we got to go to that this is probably going to be a two-part anyway. So just keep that in mind. But really what we're going to be talking about today is an event that we had recently called the Swing State, right? So, for those of you out that don't know, when it comes to the topic of love and relationships, it can get boring if all you're talking about is like who should pay for the first date, and such and so forth. Like that stuff gets lame. What I always attempt to do is find creative ways for us to address some of these topics that, we all are dealing with, but like in a fun, kind of savvy way. And I try to relate it to something currently that's going on. And so this particular topic was called the swing state. All right. Now, I'll go ahead and get into, the specifics of how we related politics into the space of love and relationships. But I want you all to follow along. And like I said, I have some videos that we're going to queue up. And I want this, once again, to be as interactive as possible. So, I want you all to share your feedback because even though I haven't posted much content online, a few of the comments that a few of the clips that I have posted has already garnered, quite a bit of response. And so I thought it would be fun for us to not only go through that, but then also kind of, solicit some of you all's feedback as well. So I'm going to read what the topic is about just so that we can stay in context, because you're going to hear a lot of people specifically talking about swing state, right? And so just so that that's not jarring, a lot of times people stay on brand with the metaphor. And so if you hear someone speaking specifically about a swing state, then just know that it was in correlation to the topic. So I'm gonna go ahead and read the topic so that we can all be on the same page. So in the ever-changing landscape of love, we often find ourselves in a swing state, a place of flux, uncertainty, and possibility. Just as swing states can determine the outcome of an election, these pivotal moments in our relationships can shape our romantic futures. This month, the Tequila Tales invite you to explore the delicate balance of hearts and minds in the swing state. We'll delve into these crucial junctures where decisions sway, emotions fluctuate, and the course of love hangs in the balance. So we normally will hinge the conversation on three main points. First one, the pendulum of passion. How do we navigate the highs and lows of romantic intensity? Two, shifting allegiances. When do we commit and when do we vote ourselves out of a relationship? And three, courting the undecided. Strategies for winning over a hesitant heart, including our own. So I always, it's always fun when you just kind of open up this discussion, because not only will I got tons of notes, but I always like to really kind of see where the audience's head is at, because while I may have a direction that I want this discussion to go into, a good conversation is dynamic, meaning that, you can't put a leash around it. You don't really know where it's going to go. And so there's an element of surprise, an element of improvisation that goes into it. And essentially, whatever the crowd is going through mentally, emotionally, spiritually, it has a way of filtering itself into the discussion, right? And even though it's not therapy per se, it can have a tendency to be a little therapeutic just because of the space that we find ourselves in. And so with that being said, we're going to go ahead and just dive right into, this first segment, which we'll playfully call Stay Out of the Comments, right? So we always say stay out of the comments, but yet we're going deeply into the comments, just to be clear, okay? So with this first post that I'm going to share, this is something that I've already posted this on our social media channels. And, I found it to be an interesting conversation. And, as always, when people engage on the platform, sometimes how the internet can be the internet and go all over the place. But I really found the conversation that spawned from this particular clip to be pretty intriguing. And so, we'll start with that, right? So we're going to start with the clip, and then we'll go into the discussion that was had. And then once again, like I said, if you all have any comments, any thoughts that you all want to share, feel free. Once again, we are on an Obama watch, okay? So here we go, without further ado.
But some of y'all sisters reject it. I'm just gonna keep it all the way real. Some of y'all sisters reject it. The man could be providing for you, taking you out on dates, coming all the way the hell across town to see you. For some of us like myself, we take Ubers to come all the way across town to see you. We paying for your meals, treating you like a gentleman, texting you good morning and making sure you good. We either send you some money to get whatever you need, get your nails done, your hair did. We talking to you straight. We ain't coming at you disrespectful. And then here's what some of y'all sisters do that kill me. We just friends, right? But yet, y'all friends on us like hell. But yet, y'all don't turn down the money. Y'all don't turn down the dates. Y'all don't turn down the text messages. Y'all don't turn down when we buy you expensive ass drinks. Y'all don't turn down none of that shit. But then y'all have the nerve to say, we just friends, right? We discussed this. We just friends, right? That's all I gotta say.
All right. He said that's all he had to say, and it was a mouthful, okay? So, the conversation of friendship I always find to be a very intriguing one. A lot of people, that the friend zone, it's gotten such a bad rap, right? It's gotten such a bad rap, and that conversation alone sparked some very intriguing dialogue inside the live show. But like I said, you put that clip online, and you just never know what it is that you're going to want. What you're going to get. We got Casey. She's watching from Arizona. What's going on, Casey? We also got Dawn. Hello from New Jersey. Okay, we got Jersey in the house. That's special. What's going on, Dawn? But yeah, so like I said, this conversation of the friend zone, I think is rather interesting. But with this particular clip, I think what this gentleman was sharing was just the space that we find ourselves in. I think that when we talk about the friend zone, one of the things that bothers people about it is it feels like it's a space where people get banished to, right? And where they are ultimately being taken advantage of. It's not a zone where we are authentically growing to like one another. It's a space that you get sent to when I don't see you as a potential romantic partner, right? And so, I put it on social media, and I was kind of curious to see just how people were going to respond to it. And there was actually a response to it, right? And so, one of the first comments that was posted was a woman that said, "Hell yeah, because you are leading him on. Be clear with your intentions, because if the table was turned, he would be in the wrong." Right. So, when I posted the clip on social media, I always will, kind of inquire a little bit, and we kind of go into some of the specifics with, okay, watch the clip, but ask a question. So the question that I asked was, if a woman is clear regarding her level of interest in a man, is it wrong for her to accept his gifts knowing he's interested in her? And so I'm going to ask you all that question also, right? Like, if a woman states clearly that, hey, listen, we just friends, and the guy goes along knowingly and he's like, oh, okay, yeah, no, that's cool. But the entire time he's doing stuff that's kind of putting him in the boyfriend realm. What's your thoughts on that, right? Like, how do you feel about that? Do you think that who do you think the onus is on at that point? Do you think that is the onus goes towards the woman because she's accepting all of these gifts? Or do you think that the issue resides in the man because, you know what, the woman was being honest, right? She clearly stated that she believed that you guys were just friends. And so whatever it is that you choose to do from that point forward, that's kind of on you, right? Hold on, we got some other we got Ursuline. What's going on, Ursuline? We got Texas in the house. Okay, so we got Casey. I turn down free drinks from strangers mainly when I don't want them to get the wrong idea. If the bartender gives it to me from someone, I'll accept it and appreciate the gesture, but still gotta be smart about that. Okay, so a sensible way to start out. Once again, you guys, if anyone is watching this, no matter where it is that you're watching it from, even if you're the only person that's tuned into that particular channel, if you type in the response, I'll be able to see it. But okay, so Casey says that in most cases she would decline unless the drink got sent ahead of time, because sometimes that's what real players do. We'll just send the drink over there and just to kind of gauge your reaction, right? Like there's never a direct expectation of something in return, but we understand that is kind of how we facilitate the communication process, right? You got to give in order to get. And I think that everybody understands that there's always an exchange that happens when you are interested in communicating with someone, when you are interested in someone, just period, that you have to be willing to invest before you ever get a return. So like, let's make that clear, right? That in dating and in multiple other areas of life, you have to be willing to invest first before you ever get anything in return. And so I think that is where this place starts, and I don't think that sometimes it's always just about the buying of the drinks. I think it's about the other stuff. We had some more comments, right? So here's someone, like I said, the comments on Instagram kind of went across the board. It went from people that were in staunch agreement with the gentleman. Yeah, that's some BS. There were some people that gave some advice. There were other people that kind of aggressively pushed back, right? So with this one, someone took from a space of advice. They said, if she doesn't show choosing signals, high interest, attraction, affection, attention, and genuine desire for you, keep it moving, fellas. Never chase or pursue women or they'll happily waste your time and resources, because if the man she desired walked in, she'll have no issue showing her interest and going on a coffee date while you're wondering if she likes you due to some good encounters. Get a grip of your faculties. 33% of women go on dates for the meal with no interest or attraction to their date. Never negotiate attraction, desire, or try to grow on women. It will never work long time. So that's interesting, because he also gave some stats. I love it when people give statistics as if it's legitimate, right? They give these like arbitrary statistics, like 28.7% will go out on the first date and order a steak. Like, Negro, where you get this from? Like, whatever, dog. But I get it. So, but I do understand what it is that he's saying. He's saying to not look at it from the space of you're growing into something. But see, I can challenge that, right? And so forgive me, you guys, because I'm gonna be giving my opinion while other people are giving their opinion, and just not even necessarily to play devil's advocate, which is what I do in the show, but to just sometimes say that I think that we have a tendency at times to feel like there's just one way to be in life, when in the reality of it is that, you could do everything wrong and still end up with the man or the woman of your dreams, right? The way that you could go to your dating coach and you could be following their, explicit advice to the T, and just for whatever reason, it may not be your time, right? And that's something that sometimes we have to accept. And so, I think when it comes to the potential, I challenge that. I challenge whether or not it's not real that you can grow into liking someone. That maybe there was an individual that did not catch your attention, that you were not essentially or initially in love with, but that over a period of time, they got an opportunity to show you who they were. And so I think that that's where sometimes the friend zone can get a bad rap, because we only hear about the friend zone moments where someone was taken advantage of, as opposed to people that were legitimate platonic friends. And all of a sudden something occurred, whether it be a spark or a moment or just whatever. And then all of a sudden you started to see a little bit more, right? And we see it in movies all the time. I don't know how real it is in Hollywood, but we see that, right? Where it's like all of a sudden a matter of fact, we just had on a movie the other day, earlier today, what was it called? Free Guy, with Ryan Reynolds, where he was like in the video game, where the entire movie is going on, and this woman doesn't realize that the guy that she's been building this entire, spoiler alert if you guys haven't seen the movie, I mean, it's been out for a couple of years, but whatever, spoiler alert, she finds out that the guy that she's been building this platform with is not only in love with her, but that was the character, the avatar that she fell in love with. We see this in Hollywood all the time, right? That a lot of times, if your head isn't focused in on recognizing a person's qualities and attributes, that you may be chasing something else, because you were just misdirected, right? So what happens then? What happens when we don't give life the space and the opportunity to life? The moment that we walk in and we know automatically, well, no, you're doing it wrong. You do it this way, you do it this way, you do it that way. And that's what success looks like. And it's like, nah, you know what I'm saying? Maybe that's how you all's worlds work, but that's never been how my world has worked. Dawn said, good point. Hey, glad to know that you agree with my point. Here go Casey tapping in. Someone growing to like you when they weren't initially interested usually only happens at school or work. That's true. You get a chance to learn more about them over a long period of time. Otherwise, I don't think that that's common. Now, I can agree with that. I can definitely agree with that. And that is something that we did address inside of the show, where I did ask that question, like, is there a possibility of someone like how do you develop platonic friendships with adults post, let's say, 30, right? Like, it feels like when we were at work or at school or even at church, you have an opportunity to kind of see someone move over a period of time, right? If you don't have that period to see someone over a prolonged period of time where other elements can kind of come in and, show you that they have other qualities, then it always feels like the majority of what we're basing our decisions on is something superficial. So that, to me, is a bit of an aha moment that I think collectively as adults, we need to figure out, right? Like, we need to figure out how we step outside of that. And also, for those of you all that have never been to the live show, that's one of the hidden benefits of the Tequila Tales is you get an opportunity to see someone in a setting where they get to just be themselves. And when you go over and you speak to them, you can actually talk about something else other than how nice they look, or, oh, well, what is it that you do for work? Just all the common things that it's easy to get shot down. You know what I mean? Before you have an opportunity to really see whether or not a person has other qualities that you may be invested in. But nonetheless, we got another comment here. Someone said, let's get one thing correct. You can't say you can't buy your way into a relationship with a woman, but yet if the man doesn't spend any money, you're 9 times out of 10 most likely to not be interested because he's not spending any money. It's a double-edged sword. Either which way a man chooses, he's still going to get cut. See, and this is why I enjoy the internet, right? Because people, everybody's coming in with their own experience, right? Everybody's coming in with something from the past that may trigger them or has given them some insight to where they say, well, this is how I view this situation, right? And I thought that was interesting, because everybody always say like, oh, well, you the dummy if you spent your money. Oh, well, you a simp. And it's like, yeah, but being cute alone has not worked since high school, right? Once again, if you are not willing to invest, if you are not willing to put something forward, if you are not willing to, throw your hat in the ring, as they say, then you're not going to be able to see what's on the other side. So I do think that there's a piece of it that's going to always be risky, right? There's going to be a piece of it where someone is always putting themselves out there with a bit of uncertainty, rather of knowing whether or not she likes me like that. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that what he said was true, is that, everybody's like, oh, well, see, you're the one that was spending your money. But okay, if he didn't spend his money, then he gets called cheap, right? And so that is something that I think is worthy of conversation. Got another comment. So someone say, men complain about women only wanting them for what they have to offer, while also complaining about women that clearly don't want them, not changing their mind after seeing what they have to offer. Okay, I think that's solid also, right? I think that's solid also. Once again, this is why the comment section to me is where the content from our live shows comes to life in a different way, and everybody's not there to be mean-spirited and everyone's not there to attack. It's just multiple different vantage points of the same situation, right? Because many people can understand his frustration, but then there are others that can also understand a bit of the hypocrisy that can occur as this evolves. So, okay, we've got another one. Now, this was one that I thought was interesting. It says, is it on the man or woman when a man says he doesn't want anything serious, but the woman does, and she still messes with him anyway, and she gets disappointed that she gave herself, time, gifts to him, and he didn't reciprocate and reminded her that they're just friends? Is it on the person who was told the truth and chose to ignore it? I think some people use others through sex, status, gifts, dinners, etc. And those kinds of people are simply users. Look at their character. So I agree with that also, right? And once again, this is where the conversation can have nuance, right? Because you do see multiple sides of it. Because, when I ask the question, or just even posing it to you guys, right, whether or not you think it's fair, or who do you think we should place the onus on? There's a lot of times in the past where people will say, well, listen, if she was being honest and he wants to, buy these gifts, then that's on her, or that's on him. But the flip side of that is there are times where, a guy would do the same thing. Hey, we just friends. And yet everything that he's doing is putting you all in that girlfriend, boyfriend realm. You know what I'm saying? Like he has expectations of you. He gets upset when you don't text, or, you know, even if you all are intimate, there's certain things that he's saying and certain things that he's doing that heightens the moment. And then it starts to feel like he's playing with your emotions, right? Because see, I thought this was just casual. Then why are you over here acting like you catching feelings? And then the moment that I catch feelings, now you're gaslighting me and you're telling me, oh no, remember, we just friends. And so what I thought was unique about that comment was that it kind of was pointing out both sides, right? So I want to go into one of the other comments that I thought was not only responding to, I thought this comment was very eloquently stated. This woman was responding to not only him, but another gentleman that kind of felt like, you know, a lot of times women are saying they're looking for a healed man, but in reality, they themselves are carrying a lot of baggage as well. So I thought that this woman gave a very poised and very metered response.
Gentlemen who just went, you sir, and you across the room, I want to say I'm sorry that that has happened to you in the past. And congratulate you for working on yourself, because that's important. Self-growth, very important. However, I do think for both sides, we have to take accountability. So if that woman is taking that money, the nail money, the hair money, the gifts, the dates, all of that, that's fine. But you have to open your eyes and use your discernment. Is there somebody who's equally interested in me? Because there will be signs. If it's date 10 and, you know, she hasn't brought up the conversation or brought up any comments about how she feels about you or I'd love to take this to the next level, that unfortunately is on you that you stayed. You have to take that accountability and say, I stayed. I stayed in a situation where I was not appreciated and where I was not unwanted. That's just like for women. The gentleman was talking about earlier about hoes versus a wife. If you're in the whole situation, you got to realize when you're in the whole situation. That's just what it is. You have to take accountability. That's hard. Sometimes you got to look in that mirror and say, I messed up. I sat in this situation way too long. It's year 3. I thought I would be married. We still hoeing. You know what I'm saying? You have to be honest with yourself because there are women out there who want to treat you just the same. There are women out there who are on the same page, figuring out what's going on with them and getting therapy and getting help. They're out there. Don't say y'all. If you don't want us to say y'all, do not y'all us. They're out there. You just have to use your discernment and you got to be patient, just like we do.
See, and that's one of the things that I always love about these discussions, right? Is, and I have to let people know that often, is that this is never a man versus woman. You know, it's just a lot of intellectuals with some mildly ratchet tendencies, right? So that's kind of the space that we find ourselves at. So Dawn shared a few moments ago that she is accepting, knowing she isn't attracted romantically, and he is to blame because he is hoping the gifts, attention, etc., will change her mind. And honestly, I do think that that's fair, right? I think that that's a fair comment to make because I do think that, you know, there is a bit of that can kind of go across the board where we all move with a degree of expectation of, because to keep it a buck, like I said, we know that women do the same thing, right? We know that women can hear a man. I'd never forget, I was dating this woman one time, and to her credit, it worked, right? And that's the thing. See, we got to acknowledge when the tactic works. I remember there was a woman one time that I gave her that. I gave her that spiel. I knew where I was in life. I knew that this was not the space that I was in where I was looking for a relationship because I had had just gotten out of like a long-term relationship, and we tried to do the long distance thing, and it kind of wasn't really working. And so here I am, in them streets, and I started dating this woman who I shared that with openly, and she's playing the game with me, right? And she was a really good cook, so she just starts cooking all the time. I mean, and making meals that I had never tasted before. And I remember one time she just coyly shared her reality. Like after we had already entered that phase where we were kind of dating and it was a bit more exclusive, you know, she just kind of playfully said, like, oh yeah. I remember when you said all that, you know, all that bullshit about you was just out here. And she was like, I just every time you said that, I was like, okay, here, try these Brussels sprouts. Okay, yeah. How do these mushrooms taste? You know, and so it made me laugh when she said that because she was being honest. She was being honest that she heard what she heard, and in her mind, she said, "Okay, well, we'll see about that. We'll see about how on the fence you are because that's what it is that people can be on the fence sometimes. It's you know, in sales we have this saying that says buyers are liars, right? A person is always going to lie to you, tell you they ain't got no money, tell you they're not interested. If you're a good salesperson, your goal is to make me want the product. No one wants to spend money, to be clear, but they will spend money, right? No one wants to get out the game if the streets is doing good. If they haven't, if they are, if they are high value, man or woman, regardless of how what you deem as high value, if the stuff they putting out there in the streets is working for them, no one arbitrarily says, here, I want you to put the handcuffs on me, right? But then you get to vibing with someone and sometimes they convince you otherwise. And so I think that there are times where we have to acknowledge this. I think that's why it's not fair when we act like if a person doesn't know off the top 100% unequivocally off the second date that you were the one that they want to be with, that you're just, you know, I got to move on. And it's like, where is that real? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, you know, but here we go. Another comment. Y'all like honesty, though. She made it clear that she is not interested. Then take responsibility for your choices. Few people are turning down free money, my guy. I don't know why that is so funny to me. You know what I'm saying? Because she was being 100%, right? Ain't nobody turning down free money. So to me, it's almost like saying, all right, like, come on, bro. You know the game and you got to take some ownership. And there were many comments in the comment section that kind of had that type of tenor of like, come on now, bro. You know what it is. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna end with these last two comments before we move on because I want to prove a point, right? So I thought this one was interesting. She can actually say that, and that's not actually the problem. The problem is you got to stop dealing with them on that level when they make that statement. Act just like a friend. The flip side is when you act like a friend without giving some of those other benefits, she might cut you off. And that is what I thought was interesting, right? Like people will put you and see, I'm gonna tell you why that's such an interesting space to explore, right? Because a person will put you in the friend zone, but they're not really treating you like a friend. Like, think about that for a second. I'm gonna put you in the friend zone, but I don't take advantage of my friends, right? So we need to stop calling that shit the friend zone because it's not the friend zone. If it was the friend zone, then you would be acting more like a friend and you probably would not accept those gifts, right? Because you don't take advantage of friends. So we call it the friend zone, but really it's the manipulation lane. That's what we should call it. It's really more about manipulation because a true friend, you're taking them out every once in a while, right? You're footing the bill every once in a while because you know he's footed the last 3 or 4 bills. And then when you grab the bill, you say, hey, listen, now, you know, Josh, we just friends, but I love you as a friend. So I got this tonight. Let me take you out. See, that's when the friend zone becomes real. And when I talk about me never being having in the past, never being afraid of the friend zone, because that's how my actual friends were. We was 50-50. We were either going Dutch or I'd take it some of the time. They would take it some of the time, right? So I never had a question as to whether or not they valued me as an asset in their world, right? But again, if you know that this person is coming at you with intentions and you state what your intentions are, but you put them into this area that you call the friend zone and you don't treat them like a friend, then on a level, you know, I can't say who I think is more to blame, but I will say that from a character perspective, just off of what I just said a moment ago, you're not actually treating them like a friend. And that's something that we have to acknowledge, right? And this was the final comment that when I saw this, it was one of those moments where I said, damn, like this is where context becomes incredibly important. Someone said, and this was a response to something that another commenter had made. I actually know him personally. Great guy, but he is autistic. He's aware of life and its struggles, and just like anyone else, longs for companionship. He realizes he has limits, but he also likes to be spoken to directly. We women have a tendency of being passively direct at the beginning, almost as if unsure about what we want out of it. Men pick up on that and still pursue. We have to stop allowing them to wine and dine us, then months later hit them with the, well, I said we were just friends. If so, stop the calls, daily texts, dinner dates, etc. So that one kind of touched me, right? Because for her to acknowledge that, it was that he's autistic, right? It's like now all of a sudden everything changes, right? Now all of a sudden everybody in the comment section that wants to call him a simp. Oh, he a simp. Nah, he's not a simp. He's autistic. Like, let that sink in for a second. He's not a simp, y'all. He's autistic. So how many people are dealing with some mental health issue, and because of our unawareness, because of this troll culture that we find ourselves in, we immediately jump in and we project our own insecurities, our own fears, our own traumas onto them, our own past pain. Oh, he's a simp. There were a couple of those comments and people talking about he didn't get raised right and just a whole bunch of assumptive bullshit, to be clear, right? Turns out he's autistic. So does that now change your mind, right? So think about that when you are accepting gifts from someone that you just told they're just friends. Are you really aware of their mental history, right? Do you really know their mental health history? Do you really know where they're at emotionally? Yeah, it's a free meal for you and your pockets is hurting right now. And you feel like, well, just because I told them what it is, I can absolve myself of any responsibility to this other human that I know desires more, right? Because we always think that everybody is on our same mental level of understanding. And it turns out this gentleman is autistic. And so when, I saw that comment, I was like, damn, like it almost made me want to take the post down, right? And I wish that I could pin the post, but because it was a reply to something that someone else said, it doesn't allow me to, I think that the content itself has value, but as it relates to his own personal story, it's like, damn, like this is the part in our casual interactions that we seldom get to see that I think if we were more keyed into, life would be different across the board, because all we ever acknowledge or all we ever think about is how something is affecting us. And we should, right? Because we all see and experience this world through a first person lens, but we seldom take into account what that other person is going through. Like what may have happened to them earlier that day, what happened to them earlier that week or month or year, and this goes across the board. This isn't just women, this is men too, right? Like we get upset when women, seem untrusting, or, well, I ain't the one that had to deal with that. Well, that's your problem because you got all these past baby daddies. It's like everything is always this indictment on their character, because you're looking at this complex three-dimensional individual as a caricature, right? As a two-dimensional person on a script that doesn't have a complex set of emotions, that didn't deal with some past trauma, that wasn't abused, sexually or whatever. All we know is how your actions in this moment has affected me right now. And I'm going to base my response to you off of how you're making me feel in this exact moment. Like we're all being very fucking selfish, right? And I get it. Like there's just a lot of pain, trauma, and anger that is in this world, and social media magnifies it. And as a result of it, it puts us in this space where we're constantly reacting. We're constantly reacting without taking a moment to think about what that person may have experienced, you know, like the old saying goes that hurt people hurt people. Like when you really think about what that means, that in order for me to try to hurt you, like think about someone that you know in your world that is incredibly successful, like for real successful, balanced, they love their husband or their wife, they got children, you know, money situation is okay. Is that the person that goes into the comment section and says mean-spirited shit to tear women down? Right? Anybody that does that, like that's literally why we call them trolls. And it's funny that we use the word troll and then somehow we've turned that into a cool term. We call them trolls because they're the person that's under the bridge. They're the ugly person that no one wanted to deal with, that got banished. We know what a troll is, but yet when they come into our comment section and they say something, we ignore the 10,000 beautiful comments, and that one comment that we didn't like from the troll triggers us without our awareness that what type of person goes out and says this to people. Like anytime you felt genuinely good about life, like just think about it on a personal level, regardless of what you're experiencing right now on an emotional or spiritual level. Think about any time that you felt this way in life. Is the like maybe you just got a promotion and you feel on top of the world, something you've worked very hard for. You felt on top of the world. Is the first thing that was in your spirit that you felt, man, let me go on internet and talk shit about people. You know what I mean? You are generally generous. You're probably more giving during that period. That's the best time for someone to ask you a favor. You know, the best time to make a sales call is normally on Thursday because people are looking forward to Friday. When you're in a good mood, you're more generous. People that do negative, mean-spirited things are operating from a space of deficit, and we seldom acknowledge that when we're interacting with them. I shouldn't be getting upset with you. I shouldn't be perturbed from you. I should actually feel sorry for you. I should actually try to empathize with you, right, and show you more compassion. And I get it. You have to have a very heightened state of mind and a very heightened state of thinking and understanding in order to be able to be centered to whereas someone's comments doesn't affect you. But that's only because a lot of times we don't operate from the correct mindset. We don't operate from the correct frame of thinking. And so a lot of times those comments that they made will trigger us because it has a tendency to hit one of our insecurities. And so regardless of how successful or happy we may have been in that moment, we are reacting. We are reacting from something that someone said. But the reality of it is that if we step back off of it and we took a bird's eye view of whatever it was that was occurring, we would recognize that, damn, what mental, emotional, spiritual space does that person have to be going through to want to tear down a stranger that you've never met? I've never once been feeling good about myself and said, you know what, man, let me go tear this woman down because she got a degree, right? These are trolls. These are trolls. And I'm not saying that you got to ignore them, but I'm saying that it would behoove us to operate from a space of heightened perspective because their goal is to bring us down to their level so that we can vibrate at their level, because then they've knocked us off our swagger. Now, all of a sudden, I'm about, like they say, misery loves company. You know, it's funny how a lot of these old adages still reign true because it is factual. Misery loves company. And if I see you winning, I'm going to speak from a space, maybe not even consciously, but unconsciously, I feel inadequate because of your happiness. And I don't know how to achieve that. So let me see if I can pull you to my space. And the moment that you get to argue with me about some bullshit, now all of a sudden I know, okay, yeah, mission accomplished. Right? I got the attention that I desired. and that is sometimes, I think, one of the things that I hope for many of us that are doing the work, that are doing the mental, emotional, and spiritual work, that we can really elevate above this and ignore it and still push out positivity. Because I think sometimes what we can have a tendency to do is we can pull back. And when something frustrates us, many of us say, well, you know what? I just ain't going to be on social media because it's all about that bullshit. And that is true. There is a lot of it there, but sometimes if you are the positive light, if you are the light and you decide to pull your light away, all you've done is just allow the darkness to consume more people. So I think what we need to do is we still need to show up, but we need to show up with a heightened level of understanding and perspective so that we can understand how we are interacting with these quote unquote trolls. But again, that's just my opinion, right? I'm not the professional. Now, actually, kind of, sort of, but whatever. So I want to, go to another comment that I thought was very poignant and powerful, and it was from a woman who was very engaged throughout the discussion. And we'll start this one out. She was talking about how her goal was marriage, and she found herself in a relationship where she and her significant other were not mutually aligned.
I already knew the goal was marriage for me. And so anytime I meet someone, I'm not into this like societal dating, we sleep around, we figure out if we like each other. That's never been my standard. And so at the 1 year mark, I already had the conversation with my partner at the time that, hey, marriage is still on the table for me. Where are you at? What's your intention here? Because I think by the 6 months to a year, you should already know as a man if you see potential in me or not. Yes. And so it was like, oh, I just need some time to gather, my finances, be more stable. Cool. Another year went by and the conversation was revisited. It was like, oh, I don't know. So in that moment, yes, I did feel rejected. I felt that I was given a conversation of, yes, I'm on the same page with you. I want marriage. And then later on, come to find out, I don't necessarily think that he was truthful about it. I think sometimes people get into relationships knowing that you are not able to, or even willing to meet the other person's standard, but yet you kind of stay around because maybe you're looking for companionship. And so at that 2.5 year mark, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually wasting my time here. So I ended that relationship in 2021. And God works in mysterious ways, because that was the longest relationship that I was in that was dating. And it didn't work out, and I had to gather myself up. And then 2022, I got married. So people, will waste their time. And I think as a woman, you need to know what it is that you are wanting from the beginning, put that on the table. The thing that I would probably do from that situation is probably giving myself a time frame. If he's not sure at this time, I'm out, as opposed to just waiting and waiting and waiting.
Okay. So, I told you guys that I am, I'm encouraging you all's engagement, right? So we got some comments to catch up on, right? So we got a woman's work telling me I suck. She said, you suck. Okay. But then she also told me, I'm just joking. Okay. We've got Dawn that says, absolutely, men and women seeing each other as whole people who are formed by experiences is key. Coming to an uninformed conclusion about someone leads to confusion and disappointment. I completely agree, Dawn. And I think that that's one of the things that, a lot of times that we have to continue to acknowledge, right? It's just how we are meeting people. Like what space are we meeting them at? We have Marie. She says, is this just about comments you don't like only? Okay, so I don't know if you're talking about the comments that I'm posting from people that are talking, or the comments that I was posting from Instagram. Now, the comments that I was posting from Instagram, I actually did not dislike any of them, right? To be clear. I think that, once again, when we talk about what our platform is all about, I say with love, we all have a story to tell. And so my goal is to actually get the story. Now, after we get the story, is to also challenge you, right? And so it's not a matter of me not liking the comment, but sometimes it is necessary that even in your own mind that you play devil's advocate, because I think that what we have a tendency to do sometimes is we live our lives in an echo chamber, right? And the moment that someone does not agree with our state of thinking, we automatically push back vehemently, and then it turns into an argument. But very seldomly can we put ourselves in a space where we can actually see how the other side thinks, right? Or we can actually see what the alternative viewpoint is. And it's sometimes the alternative viewpoint is insanity. And in those moments, we don't give space for it. But when we talk about this space of love and relationships, we're all speaking from experience. And there is no right or wrong answer. It's never black or white. It's just a matter of what is right for you. And so, one of the things that I always tend to do is to kind of have that is to have that degree of I don't even want to call it like just increased level of perspective, because it's not always high-minded, if I'm being honest, right? Like I can get triggered just like everybody else can, right? So don't think that I'm the gospel in speaking about this, but it really is about attempting to have a more balanced view of things, because we live in a day of information, but yet I feel like people are way more polarized today than they have been in the last like 40 or 50 years. And that to me is a bit of a paradox, and just FYI, you guys, I'm still on Obama watch. They're still doing the roll call. So, we still good for right now. But nonetheless, I know that we are finding ourselves where the moment that something does not sound the way that we want it to sound, we immediately move to strike. And I don't think that everybody always has ill intentions, and I think that we can benefit sometimes by not necessarily agreeing with people, but attempting to understand how they arrived at that conclusion, right? Because if you can understand that, then you can create a bridge. We're not all supposed to be the same. Like, that's the thing that we have to accept, is that we are not all supposed to be the same. That's one of the things that astrology has helped me to understand. You got 12 different zodiac signs, right? You were born at the precise time that you were supposed to be born, and it makes you very unique and very special, right? You are very different from your siblings, from your parents, from your coworkers that you love. Y'all have different tastes. Y'all have different favorite colors. You all have different things that you are attracted to. Yet when it comes to this space, everybody is supposed to agree, right? If someone doesn't agree with your opinion, then all of a sudden they're wrong. And it's like, where have you been living for the last 20, 30, or 40 years where everyone has agreed with what you like? When did we get to this space where we no longer can accept? We don't have to agree with everyone, but at the very least, you have to accept that their viewpoint has validity, right? And so that to me is part of what this platform is. And as a result, I know that means that I'll probably never be quite as popular as some of my counterparts, because I'm not going to feed you the gratuitous red meat, right? I'm not going to be the guy that's just sitting up here telling you exactly what it is that you want to hear, when I know that it's not just black or white, it's multiple shades of gray. I'm the person that wants to help you learn how to think, as opposed to telling you how to think. That's not my job, right? It's your damn job to figure out how you think about this stuff, how you feel about this stuff. I want to be someone to help you figure out how to think, not what to think, but how to think, right? And you can't know how to think if you're not seeing the full picture. So I didn't actually disagree with any of the comments that got made. I actually agree with all of them, because I can understand the perspective of which they were coming from, right? And so that's kind of where, my state of mind is as it relates to this. Now, onto that particular clip that we just watched, I thought that was really interesting, right? And I can challenge what she said. I think that woman made some beautiful comments the entire way through, but I thought it was interesting that she shared that she was dating someone, and she was kind of dating with intention, and she found knee deep into it that he wasn't on the same page. Now, I think that ultimately what she did was wise, right? But man, I almost want to have a one-on-one conversation with her. I want to dig in a little bit more, right? Because she shared how it was in what she say 2021 that she broke up with the guy, and then in 2022 she got married. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that God sent her the person that she was looking for, right? And if that's the case, then great. But in moments like that, I think where my mind sometimes goes is I hope that she didn't just, I think sometimes we can get to this space where we're so focused on the end goal. My objective is to be married. Not my objective is to be married to someone that I'm spiritually, emotionally, and physically in alignment with. No, my goal is to be married. It's like everything else is like a distant benefit as long as this first one is substantiated. As long as I get this first achievement, I don't care. Just like the six-figure conversation. I want to earn six figures. Yeah, you do. But have you questioned doing what? Do you just want to earn six figures, or do you want to earn six figures doing something that you actually enjoy, that you actually appreciate, or that you actually feel connected to, right? Because there's a lot of people that are in six-figure prison. There's a lot of people that are in six-figure hell, right? And they are looking at you grinding or whatever in this job or this role that you actually feel connected to, that you actually wake up and you love. Yeah, they can go on fancier vacations than you, right? But are they actually enjoying the quality of their life more than you are? And at the end of the day, isn't that what life is all about? Like, see, these are the conversations that people don't want to have because all we're focused on is blindly chasing whatever our objective is. And if your objective is marriage, okay, trust and believe there's a whole bunch of people out here that will marry you, right? But is that the person that you're going to build a life with? And I'm not by any means anti-marriage, clearly, because I'm knee deep in it right now, right? But what I'm getting at is that you got to make certain that when you settle into making that decision, that it's with the right person. And I'm not making suppositions because I don't know the specifics of how that went down. But it was just like, oh, okay, we broke up in 2021, and man, 2022, I got married. And it's like, all right, I get it. Like, you didn't have enough time on the mic to give me the full, gravity of everything that went down. But I was like, man, you threw a quick little bow on that real quick. And I don't know if that, like I said, I just hope that the sister found herself in a space that she actually connected with someone and he was ready, right? Because I think that both of those things have to align. And I do think that there are some people that are just more concerned with being married than they are building and creating a life with someone. But again, that is not to say that that's what that was. I just thought that, okay, that was that happened awfully swift, But nonetheless, so this is something I thought was interesting, right? That I wanted to share with you guys, because like I said, I'm on Obama watch. Hold on. Let me make sure that at the moment. Okay, yeah, they still doing roll call. Don't nobody care about that. Anyway, okay, so here we go. I want to share this with you all because I'm feeling like I'm around my family, and so we're all probably of the same generation or somewhere close to. But I want you all to hear this comment, and then I just want you all's perspective.
For me, because I'm in that sweet spot between 35 and 40, I don't know how to explain it to maybe your generation because you look a bit younger than me. But for me, that deciding factor is that 90s, early 2000s type of real. I don't know how to put that into words as to what that is, but I know that it's not plentiful out here. And people that come from my generation, I guess, maybe can understand what that means because everyone, I guess we live in a Instagram day and age. So for me, a deciding factor, already number one, you've already have my attention if you don't even deal with like social media. But for me, it's that 90s, even that comes with the nostalgia of that time. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's not for business or things like that, but that's my deciding factor. And I don't know how to put it into words, but maybe if this clip gets posted, people will understand and be able to explain it in the comments what I mean by that.
Okay, so that 90s kind of love, right? What y'all think about that, right? How do you all feel about that 90s kind of love? And I'm gonna tell you, ironically enough, that became kind of like a central theme throughout the evening. Like there was another comment, actually a rather strong and powerful comment that a sister from St. Louis made, where she was talking about that, but it came up multiple times throughout the evening that people are searching for that 90s kind of love, right? And so, I feel like on one level, I understand what it is that she meant. But I am curious to get you all's feedback, right? Like, and so again, you guys, regardless of what platform that you all are on, if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, if you all make a comment, the cool thing about the platform that I'm streaming through is it will shoot the comments through and I can share it. But I just want to know, do you all have thoughts on that 90s kind of love, right? Because I get it, right? Because I'm old school, but at the same time, I'll be feeling like I'm trying hard to not become the old guy. I'm trying hard not to become the old guy talking about kids nowadays. And it's like, damn, y'all, like that happens fast. Okay. Like I was about to say I don't feel old. Some of the time I do. Every once in a while you kind of get up and you're like, ooh, so where does pain come from? So, I mean, I get a little bit of that, but I stay active. So I don't feel old, but there are certain things that make me feel old as hell, right? Like, I keep wanting to call it Gangsta Boo, but what's her name? A Sexy Red. Sexy Red makes me feel old because I don't get it, okay? And I'm trying not to be the dude that judges, but it's like, man, y'all making music for people with really low IQs. You know what I'm saying? And I hear what she's saying because I was obviously coming of age in the 90s, but I guess once again, with the devil's advocate, I think that we do have a tendency, all generations, to romanticize the past, right? Is it that you are searching for the 90s kind of love, or are you reminiscent of a time when you were more ignorant? Because information and wisdom has its drawbacks, right? It's like when you don't know something, then you get to be naive. You get to run through life with rose-colored lenses, and it's like the more you learn about life, as we mature, we unknowingly can become a little more cynical. And I don't know if you all have experienced this, but I think that that's why it's like people can, a lot of people that grew up and in their earlier years, they were very liberal about a lot. You was, oh man, we out here changing the world. And as you mature, you become more and more conservative. Even if you don't go full on Republican Tea Party, you still are conservative with a lot of your viewpoints, with how you manage things, and I think that that's not just us becoming old. I think that's us becoming more wise, and the more that we get a bird's eye view of certain situations, we realize that, man, this isn't, yeah, you could be very idealistic, but the world operates a certain kind of way, and so you have to approach it a certain type of way. And so when we search for that 90s type of love, was it really better in the 90s? Was it? Like, because I can remember, you know what I mean? Like women are a lot more vocal now. Women have a lot more control and say so over their own faculty. That wasn't always permitted. And I've been noticing a pushback nowadays because everybody's like, yeah, back in the 80s and the 90s, everybody was talking about, independent women, you got to go out and you got to do this. And and now it feels like there's a pushback where women are desiring the soft life. And I can understand the desire for wanting the soft life, but I don't think that we should sacrifice all the years of progress just because you want a guy to still acknowledge your femininity, and you want a guy to still protect you and to support you, right? Like, I don't think that we have to look at progress as a net negative, because now there's this new wave that's like, yeah, see, they've been trying to tell y'all to, be independent, and that's y'all problem. I'm a go ahead, and y'all can call me a simp all you want to. You getting a degree, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That is not what's wrong with relationships in the Black community. It's not because women are doing more for themselves, right? Because we're acting like if you stop doing more for yourselves, that all of a sudden men just rise to the occasion. And this is not to be anti-man or male bashing, but women were doing it because men either were unwilling or unable to fulfill those roles. Now, if we're talking about the why of why they were unwilling or unable, that's a very complex and nuanced discussion that you can have on multiple levels. Some are very real, and then some are some excuses that people make, right? But regardless of where you fall on that spectrum, a person deciding to take dominion over their own world and to not wait for someone else to do it for them. I'm a freedom lover, so I'm gonna never look at that like there's something wrong with that. So you getting a degree and you being self-sufficient, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Now, if your efficiency inhibits your ability to be able to connect and communicate with your significant other, then that's something else, right? That's another area that we can explore, right? But just the getting of a degree or you getting a high-paying job is not the enemy. And I'm someone that pushes back even when I hear women say this, because what I don't want is because I feel like we're doing that in society now, like that there's an attack on intelligence that I don't like. You ain't Black if you speak intelligent. You ain't Black or whatever. Everybody's got to appeal to, talking about the swing state. Everybody got to appeal to the blue collar, non-college educated. And not that everybody's got to be college educated, but like, let's not make intelligent thought the enemy, right? And I feel like that's a tool that people use when they want you to remain in captivity. So we all need to aggressively push back against that, because ain't nothing sexier than a woman that's intelligent or a man that's intelligent. Why would you want to knowingly hang around an idiot? Idiots don't want to hang around idiots. Everybody moves forward when someone that knows some shit about some shit shows up, right? Do you really want your pilot to not know how to fly the plane? Like, let's get out of this space where all of a sudden, because you're doing good and that makes me feel inadequate, that's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, right? So I don't like the way that we're starting to frame this conversation around there's something wrong that women have done, and the wrong thing was trying to better themselves and better their families. Nah, it's not, right? But it does lead to a more nuanced conversation around submission and all of these other things, because, we start to come into this conversation where you're supposed to submit. And it's like, okay, but are you giving them a reason to submit, right? Are you providing them with the level of comfort where they feel comfortable with submitting to you? And once again, the only guys that say this are the guys that naturally, because of their own character, could not get a woman to submit. I've dated nothing but women that were earning more than me. All of them submitted to me. And this ain't me talking shit. This is not me patting myself on the back. It's because of my character. They knew they could trust me. They knew they could trust my guidance. They knew they can trust my leadership. Real leaders ain't running around demanding that people lead them, right? Anytime a dude uses the word alpha male, that is a clear indication that they are not an alpha male. The same way that anybody that's holding up money to their ear, that's a clear indication this dude really ain't rich, right? Because what do real rich people do? They don't want you to know how much money they're making, because you might ask for it. They're busy trying to protect their assets. They're not trying to flaunt their assets. Anyone that needs to flaunt their assets, they're more invested in you believing that they have it than they are actually feeling like they have it, right? So anybody that's got to tell you that they're a high value man, that's got to ask you what it is that you're bringing to the table, anyone that has to, like, any of these little things, these are people that are dealing with their insecurities and they're projecting it out. Because I'm going to tell y'all right now, and I don't care who disagrees, a real person ain't got to tell you that. A real killer ain't going to let you know how many bodies he got when he walk in the room. They're normally the most mild-mannered people. Why? Because they don't want to catch a case. But if I'm rapping about it, if I'm telling you about all the people I get, okay, yes, 90% of this is probably fake, right? Because I'm doing this so that I can convince everyone else in the room that I'm the toughest guy. The real tough guy don't have to let you know that he's tough. He actually would prefer to catch you slipping. The same way a real man ain't got to tell you he an alpha because he's already getting the respect, right? He's already doing alpha shit that is drawing women towards him. It's these other guys that's trying to figure it out, and they're taking their cues from other weak men that's trying to tell them how to be a man, right? And I'll go ahead and say that. Anybody that's got any beef or any smoke, you can come with it. I ain't gonna pay attention to it because I just know it's a fact because I do real shit and real people know real. But anyway, I think it should be independence on birth parties. Okay, I agree with you. You know, absolutely right. Oh, thank you, Renee. And Martha Brooks, so true. Hey, listen, I'm just glad to know that I'm not just out here on an island. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, real quick. Hold on. Let's do an Obama watch. Oh, okay. All right, hold on. It may be coming soon. You know what I'm saying? We wrapping up, y'all. We wrapping up. I just got one more video that I wanted to share with you guys because I actually found this one to be particularly poignant. I haven't actually posted this one yet either. So this is going to be kind of like a preview or what do they call it? A premiere.
When a man wants you, he's going to be very clear. And I think we need to, I'm at a big age. I'm 40 plus, right? So like at this big age, if a man doesn't say date 2, 3, 4, within at least a month, this is where I see you in my life and I have XYZ planned for you, you don't want me. And I think we just need to be more honest about that as opposed to kind of sitting in the ambivalence like, oh, maybe I can XYZ and he'll come around. I don't think that happens. I think men that really are marriage-minded know who you are when they see you, whether they want you forever or not. And I think we just need to be real about that. And I'm kind of piggybacking on what everybody else said, really. I think, men are clear. And with the swing state that I think women allow ourselves to be in, speaking to myself, is that there's really no ambivalence when a man wants you, period.
Okay. I'm telling you, man, there'd be so many, intelligent people that come to these shows, man. And you know what? Speaking about the show, right? This is one of the things that I definitely want to share with you guys, and I'm gonna be better with it. So I just posted something. Hopefully you all see it. It should come up in the comment section, regardless of what platform you're watching it on. I want to invite you all to join the Inner Circle, right? And what is the Inner Circle? The Inner Circle is it's this special group that we're curating, and we want to be the first to let you all know about upcoming events that we're doing, so that you all can get exclusive access, discounts, special promotional codes, sneak peeks, all kinds of things that we intend to be doing with our platform. Even though we are based in Phoenix, Arizona, the goal is to travel this show, right? How do we know where to travel? Well, we collect data. And the way that we are collecting data is by knowing who are the individuals that are interested in participating in a live show. And so, anytime content goes out, we get people that will sign up to this list. And what ends up happening is, when you share your information, and we're not asking for much, but it is an SMS list, to be clear. If you're not in Arizona, the only messages that you're going to get is when we are coming to town. So I don't want you to think that you're giving me your phone number and I'm about to start blowing you up about discounts on crap that you don't want. No, that's not what it is. What it is an attempt at us remaining in better communication and in closer contact with those that want to be more closely aligned with us, right? And it becomes difficult, man. I'm telling you, marketing nowadays, first off, they change the algorithm like every other week, right? It's just difficult, but what I found is that there are a few tried and true methods. And while email may not always be effective because you'll give me your email address and I might go to your spam folder, SMS, it will at the very least put us on your radar so that when we come to your city, you are aware of it, right? And so it's one of those things where, we're building this community and we're not going anywhere, but I want to remain close to those that want to remain in the know. So that link that I just posted, if you all are interested in joining the inner circle, just click on that link. All it's asking for is just name, email address, phone number, and the state where you reside. And when we come to your state, then you will be not only one of the first to know, but you'll get first access and potentially free access. And there's going to be a lot of stuff that we're doing, not only for the remainder of this year, but coming into 2025 strong. So I wanted to not only share that, but I also wanted to share about this, right? So this is Feel Like Talking. And we say to ourselves, what is Feel Like Talking, right? And, so much I can say about this, but when it comes to our mental health, when it comes to business, when it comes to just our lives, sometimes there's stuff that you just got to get out, right? There's things that you have to get out, and you have to make certain that you are having that conversation with the right type of person that can help to take your thoughts, your desires, your ambitions to the next level. And so, because of the fact that it's wild, this is something that I've done for close friends and close colleagues for literally decades. And people have been pushing me, Ike, I'm telling you, man, if you could put this in a bottle, if you could do this, if you could do that. And I hear it, but I always kind of push it to the side because, to me, it's it's the thing that you do for free, right? Like sometimes when it's what's in you, you're not necessarily thinking about it and you just give it freely. But what I recognize that everybody doesn't always have access to it. And sometimes people know when they have access or when they need something. You got an idea that you need to flesh out, right? Some creative machination that you're just like, oh man, and you're looking to get to that next level, ideation, or, sometimes it might not even be full on therapy. You just need someone to broaden your mindset about something, right? You need a conscientious observer. For those individuals, if you find yourself in that space, I want you all to have that as a feather in your cap, right? And to know that I have created a platform that allows people to be able to get access to me when they feel that they need it, beyond just our virtual meetings. Because I do think that us continuing to do this, us continuing to have the live shows, these virtual shows, I think that it all adds value, but there's sometimes you need one-on-one. And when you need that one-on-one, I have created a space to kind of grow into just being that receptive ear and that person that can give you, my insights. And so, if you follow that link, I've shared it inside of the comment section. Feel free to, click on it, do your own research. You'll know whether or not you need one of the services that are provided. Feel absolutely no pressure. It's just one of those things where I started to realize that, the deeper I go into this space, the more influence that I desire to have for those that feel that they need it or those that desire it, right? And so I want to extend myself for those of you all that are interested, right? And so just know that. But with that being said, like I said, you got Chuck Schumer on right now. He ain't talking about that. He ain't talking about that. But nonetheless, you guys, I really, really, appreciate once again, man, the continued support, the continued engagement. It really is a labor of love. And yeah, man, it's just, if I had to end with any final opinion, Matter of fact, hold on, wait a minute. I know I got one. Here we go. The opinion. So honest to God, I really don't even have anything queued up, anything specifically that I wanted to share. But I guess I will just say that, I feel like we're in a day and age where we're attempting to redefine like what our lives and what our world looks like. These past, 8+ years. Shit, it's almost hard to call, but just things have gotten really heavy. I don't know if y'all feel that. Like, and when we talked about the '90s kind of love a moment ago, I think that our nostalgic longing is back to a space where we did feel more connected, where everything wasn't always so adversarial. Things have gotten incredibly adversarial, and I've talked about it in times past. It's because that's what the algorithm is. It's not necessarily that that's who we are as people. It's that's how the algorithm operates. The algorithm operates in a way where conflict draws more attention. I see it in our comment section. Anytime you get a couple of people that are willing to fight, all of a sudden it drives traffic, and so it turns into like this guilty, I don't even want to call it a guilty pleasure, because there are times where I just say, you know what, I know that post could do more traction, but I don't like the disruption, so I'm gonna just hide this comment. But as much as I don't want to censor, it's like I'm ready for us to elevate beyond this constant bickering, because I think there was a point where we looked at it like, oh, well, that's just the internet. Oh man, that's just social media. That's not real. People say that playfully, but like I always say, man, like the stuff that happens online, it has real life residue. It really does, and we don't want to admit it. I said this live was unexpected, but was valuable. Thank you for your work and insight. Thank you, Dawn. And I appreciate that, because it's one of those things, man, where you find yourself in this space, and I'm not going to pretend like I don't desire the level of attention that I can see some of my counterparts getting, right? And I know I can get it if I chose to make the same moves that they made. If I decided to play into some of our lowest common denominators, if I heightened the argument and the bickering and the us versus them, the competitive aspect of it. If I leaned into that, I could do it better than anyone. I know that. I'm a shit starter. I've been doing Tequila Tales Alone and playing devil's advocate for over 11 years, right? So I know what I'm doing in this space, but I think that just as I continue to mature, it's like, it's not even about the entertainment anymore. You know what I'm saying? It really is about like the value that I want to add, and just wanting for us to collectively be in a better space, and I'm hoping that those that are in a similar space as me, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, that we can start to build our community, and it's going to be open for anyone that wants to heighten that vibration. We can challenge one another. This is not a kumbaya. I share that in every show. If it becomes too kumbaya in this room, I will play devil's advocate, because I want to challenge how you're thinking. I want to challenge your mindset. But at the same time, we got to do it with the right spirit. We got to do it in the spirit of growth. How do we get to that next level? Let's not just argue just for argument's sake. Let's not argue just because we want to fight or we want to be right. Let's argue because our goal is to figure out, how do we win? Whatever winning is for you, let's figure out, how do we get there collectively? Like, let's make this an iron sharpening iron type of a scenario, more so than just us clout chasing and doing it for the likes and the shares, because that shit gets old and it is literally withering away society one comment at a time. But once again, you guys, man, for those of you guys that, stuck around, for those of you all that, and like I said, the engagement has actually been pretty good. So even despite the DNC. So you guys, man, I really, really appreciate you all tapping in, you know, and I want you all to continue to do so. If you all aren't following us on social media, you know, it's The Tequila Tales on every platform. And until the next time.